Okay, I'm sure everyone out there over the age of 13 or whatever has at least 2 or 3 kids by now. And if you don't, fuck you. The hell are you waiting for? Science says if you don't have at least 4 kids by your mid-20s, your junk will shrivel up. It's a well-known fact that our species must multiply as much as possible if we want to survive into the future, given today's insanely high infant mortality rates. And it's no secret that 4 out of every 5 children are lost in freak carnival accidents. Every family should do their part to ensure our species carries on into the future. Guys, your goal is to keep your girl pregnant. If more than 3 months goes by and she's not, then you're not taking your social responsibilities seriously. And girls, no more being stingy. That headache line isn't going to cut it. It's time to do your part and bear the load. Load. See what I did there? Anyways. Today's how-to is going to be a little different. Today we're going to talk about a few ways that you can better cope with having a newborn. I'll talk about a few things that can become roadblocks to sustaining your sanity after you have included a adorable little baby into the household. This video will be broken up into 10 following parts. Feel free to watch this video several times in order to increase my watch time. Ow! The fuck, Skylar?
Watch time?
Oh. In order to commit these tips to memory.
1!
Before your first child, you, like many others, have become accustomed to getting up to 14 hours or more of sleep after your Call of Duty and porn marathon. It's important to note that this trend cannot continue, at least not for a few months. You'll be limited to about 12 hours of sleep post-marathon, assuming you follow this guide. Newborns are well known for their ability to wake up every 2 hours and scream like they're dying. It could lead you to think there's something wrong. Well, have no fear, this is normal. The baby is probably just hungry or something. It's important to toughen your child up from a young age. You can start by telling the infant to hush. Do you see me eating right now? I'm hungry. But it's sleep time, not eat time. Unfortunately, most children at this age are notorious pussies, and the baby will likely ignore your logical statement. This is a rare instance where it's okay to cave into the pressure. Of course, you'll also want to soundproof the environment. We will discuss soundproofing in further detail in Part 9. If the baby is not hungry, it may be a catastrophic diaper situation which has the infant pissed off. There is no other way to really deal with this issue. Here. He smells funny. And lastly, he may just be tired. Pissed that he's tired and too stupid to sleep. In which case, a vigorous shaking of the baby will lull them to sleep. An average of 3 out of 5 babies are soothed by extreme violent rapid movements. And if applied long enough, this method will quiet any newborn. And finally, you can get back to your post-wank sleep.
2!
Newborns, as we all know, have a propensity for getting incredibly fat. And no one wants a fat baby. Many people will tell you to feed the baby every time they're hungry. I disagree. I recommend a 50% system, wherein the parent feed the baby only half of the time that the baby indicates that he or she is hungry. A happy result of this method is that the number of weekly diaper changes taper off to about half as well. You will be saving money both on expensive formula and diapers. Another way to further cut the cost is to dilute the formula by only adding half the required amount and filling the rest with tap water. Benefits here can include not only a further mitigation of formula expense, but also increase the amount of required minerals, heavy metals, chemicals, and bacteria your child gets through the use of unfiltered city water. So remember, half the feedings equals half the diapers, and half the formula equals half the expense, and unfiltered city water equals healthy infant. It's important to note that from a young age, your newborn begins learning what me time means. Me time, for both the infant and the parent, are paramount to sustaining one's sanity over the next 18 years. This can start even at a very young age. See, buddy? We got you a toy box. If this YouTube thing works out, we'll even fill it up with toys. Now, Daddy's got to go watch some Pornhub, so it's time for you to have some me time. Here you go. Night-night, buddy. Now, no crying. It's well known that children can play quite loud, so again you'll want to soundproof the environment. Now both baby and parent can enjoy some quality me time.
4!
As we all know, infants grow fast and shit often, so clothing is not really a big deal at this young age. No one really expects you to buy 6 new outfits every 3 days, so a handy alternative to baby clothes is to simply keep your baby naked. If you absolutely have to go to Walmart, you can simply wrap your baby in sheets or your own clothing. It basically looks the same and no one will notice or care. It is Walmart after all. Pro tip, be sure to use mommy's clothes if you're cutting expenses by only using diapers on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
5!
Visits to the pediatrician can be costly, especially having followed the above tips. But have no fear, there are alternatives to these costly doctor visits. We call it PhD Google, Dr. Google, or WebMD. Why pay someone else to do something that you can easily teach yourself to do in just a few forum threads? All non-invasive procedures can be done at home in the comfort of your own house, without having to pay some overeducated jerk 9 months of ad revenue by simply hitting up Google and checking out a few forums. More complex, invasive procedures will of course require a little practice beforehand, as to not risk harming the baby.
6.
One of the big scams in the infant industry is car seats. It's a well-known fact that these devices cost a ton and don't actually do anything. The great conspiracy here is that they are also mandatory, and not using one can result in fines, jail time, or even being relieved of your newborn. There are 2 paths to take with this one. Path 1 can be a bit costly, but keeps you within the child restraint laws. And that is basically trial and error. You'll want to buy a series of different car seats and test them out. Take a seat, place it in the car, firmly restrain the infant in the seat, and then recklessly drive through a ditch, violently hitting a tree. Repeat this step till you find the seat that results in the least amount of bodily injury to the newborn, and then you will have eliminated the less effective seats. But of course, if you're on a budget, as most parents are, you will want to take path 2, which has the added benefit of soundproofing the environment.
7.
Medicating a newborn can be a very pricey proposal to a budget-minded couple, and with the ever-increasing death grip Big Pharma has on our society, it can sometimes be well outside your budget when it comes to shots, vaccinations, and medications for your infant. Sometimes even crossing the barrier from infant need fund to daddy's computer game fund. This is an absolute travesty. Fortunately, there are ways to ensure your infant does not fuck up your fund money. Firstly, vaccinations. It's long been proven that vaccinations make children have Asperger's syndrome, or whatever. So just eliminate that right off the bat. The last thing you want is your star quarterback of a son to grow up licking windows and turning into a brony. So no vaccinations. Next, for your shots, you can pick up a few insulin needles and syringes from Walmart. The ingredients of all baby shots can be found online. I think you know where I'm going with this, right? Why pay someone else to do what you're perfectly capable of probably doing? Lastly is medication. Children's Tylenol, or children's X-Lax, or whatever medication you need. If it says children's, it's probably too damned expensive. And a little known fact is that 1/4 of a Loratab and half a shot of Jack Daniels in the bottle will have the same effect as anything. Got a constipated baby? Loratab and Jack. Baby crying for no reason? Loratab and Jack. Post-invasive home surgery? Loratab and Jack. It really is the cure-all, and if you're this far into the video, I know for a fact you have Loratab and Jack in your house. Somewhere. Right now. So don't be stingy. Your baby is part of the family now. Share. Greedy fucker. Also, I'll leave a P.O. box in the video description so you can send me some Loratab and Jack as well.
8.
So it turns out the sovereign citizens were right. Dealing with the federal and state government can be a real pain in the ass, both for you and later on for your baby. In order to bypass that particular headache, why deal with months of paperwork and federal hassle if none of it matters to you anyhow? Don't bother filling out a birth certificate, or registering anything, as you don't want your baby to be a slave to the system. And in the event something goes wrong, which is very likely going to be the case, and the state decides to relieve you of your child, be sure you don't give them this, but give them this.
9.
Mitigating the excessive noise that is emitted by newborns is paramount to retaining your sanity as a parent. There are many ways you can do this, but I won't bore you with details here. These pictures speak louder than words. Lastly, it is important that both parents equally share the workload when it comes to baby time. For one, you don't want your infant growing up to hate one parent more than the other. You want that deep-rooted hatred to be equal. And two, if this fucking kid says mommy before daddy, I'm shooting 3 random people. Here. It smells funny. Here, I have to check my email. Skylar, take this. I left the fridge running. Skylar!
What?
I don't want it anymore. And that's about it. Assuming you follow all of these steps, you should greatly mitigate your infant expenses and increase the likelihood of retaining some semblance of sanity over the next 18 years. And remember, many of these steps can carry right on into adulthood.
Hey, will you take the trash out?